biography option लगेगा.
Namaskar and welcome to all the viewers to today's episode of Luminaries of Bengal series organized by Sangam Talks in collaboration with Bangla Abar. With all of your love and support, we have reached the eighth episode of this well-needed series. And of course, thank you for your patience as this episode got postponed last week due to unavoidable circumstances. Today we discuss the few but key events out of many from the illustrious life of Syama Prasad Mookerjee Mahasaya, son of the legendary Sir Ashutosh Mukherjee. Dr. Syama Prasad Mookerjee had graduated in 1921 with honors in English, securing the first position in the first class from the Presidency College and his MA in Indian vernaculars. Then he got a BL degree in 1924 and topped the list in Calcutta University. After his father's death in 1924, his presence at the university senate and syndicate was considered essential. In 1934, he became the youngest vice chancellor of the university. In 1929, he was elected to the Bengal Legislative Council as the Congress candidate from the university constituency. In response to the Congress call for boycott of councils, he resigned but later re entered it as an independent member for the sake of the university. In 1937, he was re elected from the university constituency. After several disappointments from the Congress leadership, he was forced to form a coalition ministry with a non Congress and non Muslim League nationalist force during the period. V. Savarkar created a deep impression on him and he joined the Hindu Mahasabha and became its acting president in 1939. During the 1943 famine, his humanitarian works saved a lot of lives. Soon after the rigorous famine, the shadow of partition began to threaten the stability of life. He put forward the argument that if at all India was to be partitioned on the communal basis, in that case Bengal and Punjab must be partitioned on the same ground. He was disgusted by the ignorance of the Congress government to the fact which was the government sponsored anti Hindu pogrom in East Bengal and eventually created the first real democratic opposition in the Parliament and Constituent Assembly of India. And the result was Bharatiya Janata, the predecessor of Bharatiya Janata Party. His role in the Lok Sabha as the leader of opposition earned him the title Lion of Parliament. In 1953, he died at Srinagar, Jammu and Kashmir, in custody under questionable circumstances. Hence, the very justified phrase, "Jahan hua Balidan Mukherjee, wo Kashmir hamara hai." Now, it's a great honor to introduce our distinguished panelist for tonight. Our first eminent panelist is an acknowledged Syama Prasad Mookerjee scholar and researcher and a moderately right-wing writer and thinker, none other than Tathagata Roy Mahasaya, an unapologetic Sanatani Hindu, and rightfully so. He has served as the governor of Tripura, Meghalaya, and Arunachal Pradesh. He is the author of a complete biography of Syama Prasad Mookerjee life and time published by Penguin Random House in 2018. He was earlier an important functionary of the Bharatiya Janata Party. We also have with us acclaimed author, researcher, and commentator on history, politics, economics, and environment, Chandrachur Ghose Mahasaya. He graduated from Vishwabharati and the University of Sussex. He has co-authored Conundrum Subhas Bose's Life After Death, which features among the best sellers on Amazon. His latest publication is the definitive biography of Netaji Subhash Chandra Bose, published by Penguin Random House, titled Bose, the Untold Story of an Inconvenient Nationalist, which is a national bestseller. He is one of the founders of pressure group Mission Netaji that has been the moving force behind the declassification of secret documents related to Netaji Subhash Chandra Bose. His activism led to the declassification of over 10,000 pages in 2010. Our moderator for this episode is Shikanto Mukhopadhyay Mahasaya, who is an international human rights activist with a background in statistics, economics, and finance. Formerly a senior banking analyst on New York Wall Street, he now heads various NGOs globally. He has spearheaded the Triveni Kumbh, internationally held in West Bengal after nearly 700 years. He is a co-founder and international advisor to Bangla Abar. I will now ask Shikanto Mukhopadhyay Mahashay to take stage. Over to you, sir.
Hi, namaskar to all of you. It's a great day to have this program on Bharat Kesari Syama Prasad Mookerjee. We have two very eminent speakers, and we have a huge audience listening. So, first of all, the program is segmented such that we'll have Professor Tathagata Roy, actually, I should say Governor and Professor Tathagata Roy speaking in the beginning, and then we'll have the famous Chandrachur Ghose from Mission Netaji fame also speaking after that. Thank you, Devashish. Let me first bring in Tathagata Roy. You've heard his introduction. It's a multifaceted personality. He is a number one author on Syama Prasad Mookerjee, and it's like very eminent. I will not. I'll actually talk about him after he speaks. But Tathagataji, please start.
Thank you, Srikanto. It gives me great pleasure to speak before this august audience about a person whom I revere hugely and whose greatness I have tried to bring before the Bengali audience. They're not exactly Bengali, the entire Indian audience, but particularly the Bengali audience, because he is a person to whom the entire population of West Bengal, particularly the Hindu population of West Bengal, should be grateful. And yet he was almost forgotten. So let me, without wasting much more time on the introduction, let me begin on his life. See, Dr. Syama Prasad Mookerjee was an outstanding scholar, and he had a career cut out for him, designed by his father, Sir Ashutosh Mukherjee, for in the Calcutta University. He was the youngest vice chancellor ever, the equivalent of president, equivalent of which is president in the United States, the youngest vice chancellor ever of Calcutta University, that is at the age of 33, and gave a great account of himself in that post for 4 years. But even before that, and even after that, he held the helm of the university and helped whoever was the vice chancellor. And all those vice chancellors eventually were very grateful to him. Now, Dr. Syama Prasad Mookerjee had to come away from the field of academics into politics by a very strange turn of events. See, in 1935, the British enacted a law called the Government of India Act. This was enacted in the British Parliament, and this provided some limited self-government to the British Indian provinces. Now, this limited self-government envisaged some kind of election, but this was not universal adult suffrage as we have in this country. Instead, it was to some special groups, like, for instance, graduates, taxpayers, labor constituency, the railway constituency. It's like that. It was a little complicated. Let's not get into that. But the important thing was that it had separate electorates for Hindus and Muslims. Actually, it was not called a Hindu electorate, but it was called a general and The Muslim electorate was, of course, Muslim. There were Indian Christians and other groups, not very significant in pre-independence Bengal. Now, it so happened that after the election, it was found that no party in the Bengal Assembly got a clear majority. There were three parties in the fray. One was, of course, Congress, which won with the which had the support of the entire Hindu population of undivided Bengal. The second was Muslim League, an unalloyed communal party, which was originally uh, designed, or originally it appeared to be a party of well-to-do Muslims, particularly Muslim zamindars and other people in Muslim businessmen and all that. But eventually, as we shall see, this party became the representative party of all Muslims. Now, the third party was a party called Krishak Praja Party. This Krishak Praja Party was headed by a person called Fazlul Haq. He was from Barishal. This party happened to be this party was a party of peasants, and their agenda were all the peasants' agenda, like supply of fertilizer or supply of water and stoppage of exploitation, their exploitation by zamindars, then the doing away with their loans or relieving them of their loan liabilities, things like that. Now, it so happened that these peasants in Bengal were largely Muslim, and therefore this party became an essentially Muslim party, though it did not have a communal agenda like the Muslim League. So, under these circumstances, the normal thing for the Congress would have been to form a coalition with this party. Unfortunately, and for reasons that yet I have not been able to fathom, Congress refused to form a coalition with this party. As a result, this party was pushed into the lap of the Muslim League. And as I had said, this did not have a communal agenda, but at the same time, this had the support of the Muslim ground level, that is mostly Muslim peasants. And the Muslim League was an avowedly communal party. So the combination became a Muslim combination. Muslims at that time in undivided Bengal, they constituted about 55% of the population. The Hindus constituted 45% of the population. Interestingly, now if you take the two Bengals, that is to say West Bengal and Bangladesh, Muslims now constitute about 70% of the population and Hindus constitute only 30% of the population. But that is a different thing. That has got nothing to do with the present. I just mentioned it in passing. So, as a result of this coalition, it became a Muslim government ruling over the entire province. And gradually, it was found that they were very serious about implementing their communal agenda, and they went ahead doing it. This communal agenda basically envisaged that that Muslims would have a place in government jobs. At that time, government jobs were very important. Muslims would have a share of government jobs in proportion to their population. In other words, because 55% of the Muslims 55% was the percentage of Muslims in the province. The share of Muslims in government jobs would be 55%. But because earlier the Muslims had a very minuscule, very small representation among the in the government job. The Muslim League and Praja Party coalition laid down a rule that until this 55% proportion, 55% share of the jobs was given to the Muslims, no jobs would be given to the Hindus. First, this 55% the share would be implemented, and then only we could think they could think of giving the. So you can imagine what a terribly unfair thing it was, because at that time Hindus educationally and culturally were far, far more advanced than the Muslims. But yet this thing was implemented, and Congress didn't protest against it. Or they did protest, but in a very mild way, because Congress all the time pretended that they were a party of Hindus and Muslims alone. That was not a fact, because Muslim support in undivided Bengal had gone over almost entirely to this Muslim coalition. But Congress had to pretend that this was their grand obsession, and therefore they couldn't speak too harshly about against the Muslims. Anyway, this thing went on, and the Hindus felt so deprived that they decided that they would have to do something about it. There were prominent Hindus like Justice Manmothanath Mukherjee, Ashutosh Lahiri, uh, Swami Pranavanandaji, who was the uh, founder of Bharat Sevashram Sangha. All these people were extremely exercised over this very unfair deal given to the Hindus. But the problem was that they didn't have a leader. They didn't have a political leader. So they sat together and figured that the only person who could lead the Hindus in these circumstances was Dr. Syama Prasad Mookerjee. And they somehow managed to persuade Dr. Mukherjee to come into politics, leaving the arena of Devi Saraswati, that is the academic world, and take up take up the cause of the Hindus of the province. So Dr. Syama Prasad Mookerjee did that. He became a member of the provincial legislative assembly, and he lambasted the ruling Muslim coalition on the floor of the assembly. But of course, the Muslim coalition, because they had a brute majority, they had their way. Then Dr. Mukherjee did something very interesting. Fazlul Haq was not at all comfortable in the company of the Muslim League, because their attitudes were different. They were both Muslims by religion, but their attitudes were different. So Dr. Mukherjee managed to persuade Fazlul Haq to leave that coalition and form a separate coalition called the Progressive Democratic Coalition. And by doing that, he drew away the milder Muslims, the non-communal Muslims among the coalition to his side, and eventually formed a government. Now, at that time, the British governor of undivided Bengal was a person called Sir John Herbert, a very, very bad man, very scheming man with no empathy for the people he was supposed to govern. In those days, mind you, under the Government of India Act, in spite of the fact that there was provision for election, the governor had supervening powers, and he could overrule any decision of the cabinet. But this became particularly true after 1939, because the Second World War was declared. Britain was a belligerent power. The Viceroy of India, that is Lord Linlithgow, he declared India also to be a belligerent, although India had nothing to do in the war. And in the war, certain very draconian laws were imposed. They were called the Defense of India rules. Under this Defense of India rules, the governor practically was a king, and he could, without batting an eyelid, he could just throw away rubbish, all that the ministry was doing. He was totally in favor of the Muslim League because the Muslim League never uh, opposed British domination. But because they had the Dr. Mukherjee and Fazlul Huq's coalition, because they had majority in the parliament, in the state legislative assembly or provincial legislative assembly. In those days, they used to call them provinces, not states. Provincial legislative assembly, it was, he couldn't do anything. So the new government took power. Sarat Chandra Bose, who was the elder brother of Netaji Subhash Chandra Bose. Sarat Chandra Bose was supposed to be the deputy prime minister. In those days, they used to call them prime ministers. Deputy prime minister, and Fazlul Haq was supposed to be the prime minister. But this Herbert was so incensed and so conspiratorial that on the day previous to the day on which the ministry was supposed to take oath, he arrested Sharat Chandra Bose and packed him off to a place called Kunur in South India. And everybody, of course, the entire Congress and the other people, Praja Party people, protested. But Herbert pretended as if he had nothing to do with it because this was a central government decision. And in the interest of the war, in the interest of the British Empire, this had to be done because Sharat Chandra Bose was the elder brother of Subhash Chandra Bose. Actually, Sharat Chandra Bose had nothing to do with the war effort or the Azad Hind Fauj. But because he happened to be the elder brother of Subhash Chandra Bose, he said that this man cannot be trusted, so he has to be sent back there. So that is what happened. And then Dr. Syama Prasad Mookerjee was, of course, in that cabinet. He had by then joined the Hindu Mahasabha, and he had become the most important, next to the prime minister, of course, the most important person in the cabinet. So much so that although the formal name of the cabinet was the Progressive Democratic Coalition, people used to call it the Syama Haq cabinet. Syama Prasad Mookerjee, and Haq, that is Fazlul Haq, Syama Haq cabinet. And there was a right-hand man of Fazlul Haq called Abul Mansur Ahmed. Abul Mansur Ahmed has written in his autobiography called Amar Dakha Rajnitir 50 Bochor. In that autobiography, he has written that he had never seen a Hindu leader who was so fair, so neutral in all matters concerning Hindus and Muslims in the province of Bengal. He had praised Syama Prasad Mookerjee to the skies because he said that this here was a person who was very liberal, very secular, very fair to both communities. And at the same time, Syama Prasad and Fazlul Haq declared that Syama Prasad Mookerjee had been entrusted with the welfare of the Muslims of Bengal, while I have been entrusted with the welfare of the Hindus of Bengal. So what a beautiful statement it was. But Herbert, Herbert was disgusted, incensed, and he conspired to displace this ministry. What happened is that Fazlul Haq had an unfortunate trait in his character. What was that trait? He was extremely power loving, and he could be persuaded by holding a bait of power before him to do things that were totally against his interests. He also was capable of saying very foolish things in extempore speeches. In any case, what this Herbert took advantage of this trait of Fazlul Haq, and he told Fazlul Haq that, look here, these are war times. The Japanese may invade India anytime. And if they do, the first province that they will hit is Bengal. So let us have a national cabinet. Let us have a cabinet in which all parties are represented. So you resign from this cabinet, and I shall appoint you as the prime minister of the next cabinet, which will be a all-time all-party cabinet. All-party means Muslim League will be included. Fazlul Haq took the bait and he did it. He gave a resignation letter to Governor Herbert, which had no date. Governor Herbert simply put it in his pocket, did nothing. And Fazlul Haq imagined that he would keep his word. But after some time, when Fazlul Haq started taking steps, uh, really important steps in the administration of the province, which was not to the liking of the British, this man, this Herbert, he put a date to the resignation letter, and he said that here is a letter, resignation letter by Fazlul Haq. I have accepted the resignation, so he is no longer Prime Minister of Bengal. Now I am going to form a national government. Now, national government had to have Krishak Praja Party, Congress, and Muslim League. Muslim League was at that time ruled by Jinnah. It was literally ruled by Jinnah. He was the uncrowned king of the party. His word was law. Jinnah said that I have no objection to taking any Hindu in the cabinet, but I shall not accept any Muslim who is not a member of the Muslim League. Because he wanted the Muslim League to be the sole representative of the Muslims, and he eventually succeeded in doing so. So, Fazlul Haq lost his place, and practically a Muslim League, because Congress refused to join that cabinet. There was no, Herbert also never intended it. And as a result of that, the Muslim League coalition, Muslim League government was formed under the prime ministership of Khaza Nazimuddin, Sir Khaza Nazimuddin, who was a very communal person. And this Muslim League government sort of ruled in a very draconian manner over the province, particularly over Hindus. They were extremely unfair, as they had been earlier. But the Hindus had no recourse because of this foolish act committed by Fazlul Haq. In any case, in between, there was this famine of 1943, in which an estimated 50 lakhs, that is 5 million people died. 5 million people died. The famine itself could form the subject of a speech or subject of a discussion. So I am not going into the details of it. I need merely to say that this was a time when you could see emaciated bodies lying on the ground and asking for fan. You know what fan is? Fan is the supernatant liquid that is left after you have boiled rice. And these bodies, these people who had lost all human qualities just out of sheer hunger, they were too scared to ask for rice. Instead, they asked for fan, that liquid. And terrible things were heard. Say, Syama Prasad himself has recorded that on a sandbank on the Kashai River in Midnapur district, a dead body was found. That man, out of hunger, he had swallowed sand from the river. He had swallowed river sand and he had died. hundreds and thousands of people died on the streets of Kolkata, and people didn't even look. I mean, they just traipsed, they sort of uh, crossed over the dead bodies. So, in this manner, it went on. But Dr. Syama Prasad Mookerjee did a fantastic thing in organizing reliefs. There were a large number of bodies who were organizing reliefs, but Dr. Syama Prasad Mookerjee was the coordinating body among them, and he headed the coordinating body among them, and he had done absolutely yeoman service. So much so that his elder daughter was getting married in this time, but he could not attend the meeting, the wedding ceremony of his elder daughter. In any case, by 1943 end, the famine had abated. Then meanwhile, Mahatma Gandhi, whom I don't acknowledge as Mahatma, and whose birthday happens to be tomorrow, Mohandas Gandhi is a proper way of referring to him, and that is what I shall do henceforth. Mohandas Gandhi did a very strange thing. He had, in 1942, the Quit India movement had been launched, and it was a failure. The Quit India movement was a total failure. It had petered out, and the Viceroy Linlithgow, he had put all the Congress leaders in jail. With the result, there was no one to give leadership to the movement, and it petered out. But after some time, it so happened that Gandhi fell very ill, and Linlithgow decided that it wouldn't look good if he died in a British jail. So he was let loose. At that time, Rajagopalachari was also loose, because Rajagopalachari had opposed this 42 Quit India movement. So with that, Rajagopalachari worked on Mohandas Gandhi and persuaded him to go to Jinnah's house, to go of his own to Jinnah's house and give a set of proposals which approximated to Pakistan. Now, before that, I must tell you that in 1940, in Lahore, the uh, this Muslim League had passed the Pakistan resolution, but they still had no idea of what this Pakistan would be, where it would be located, which provinces would form part of Pakistan. Gandhi went and explained it to him. Can you imagine anything more stupid? But he did it. And Jinnah, of course, rejected those things. But what happened is that Gandhi had walked a mile towards Jinnah, while Jinnah did not give even an inch. So as the result, the Pakistan idea formed it started solidifying in people's heads, particularly Muslims' heads, and as a result, all the non-Muslim League Muslim parties, like the Krishak Praja Party in Bengal, or the Unionist Party in Punjab, they gave up. I mean, they wound up their parties and joined the Muslim League. So, with the result that the entire Muslim population of India had joined the Muslim League, and Jinnah was their uncrowned king, of course. So, this process went on. In between, there were a lot of things like there was a change of government in Britain. The war cabinet was booted out, and the person who became the prime minister was Clement Attlee. And Clement Attlee had decided, for a variety of reasons into which we need not go at this stage, Clement Attlee had decided that India was to be given independence. But which India? In what form? Because Congress had not accepted partition while Muslim League was clamoring for partition. So what kind of India? In order to decide that, he sent a very high power cabinet mission to India in 1946. They conferred with all the parties, including Syama Prasad and Dr. Ambedkar, and finally gave a scheme. But the scheme didn't work out, And Jinnah, in order to reinforce his case, he provoked a riot in Calcutta, which was called the Great Calcutta Killings. In this Great Calcutta Killings, an estimated 10,000 people were killed. Just like the famine, there were dead bodies lying all over the city. And the entire thing was engineered by Jinnah through the Prime Minister of Bengal, Hussein Shahid Sohrawardi. Syama Prasad was the one person who had lambasted this government on the floor of the assembly, and even otherwise he gave leadership to the Hindus. But the Congress by this time had got so avaricious, so greedy for power, that in 1947 March they accepted partition. All along they were saying that we will never accept partition, but then this March 1947 they accepted partition. Then Syama Prasad Mookerjee said, look here, if you are going to partition India, then you must partition Bengal also. Because Bengal may be a Muslim majority province, but this Bengal is not going, the Bengali Hindus are not going to live as dhimmis under Muslim domination. So you must partition Bengal. Jinnah opposed it tooth and nail, but Syama Prasad got his way. Fortunately, he got the support of the Congress, and with that, resolution was passed in the Bengal Legislative Assembly on 20th of June 1947, whereby Bengal was decided to be partitioned. The partition line was to be drawn by an English barrister by the name of Sir Cyril Radcliffe, and this was done. And this was done on 17th August 1947. Meanwhile, India had got its independence 2 days earlier, that is on the 15th August 1947. So this was, I personally consider, as the biographer of Dr. Syama Prasad Mookerjee, I personally consider this is the greatest achievement of Dr. Syama Prasad Mookerjee. If he had not done this, if he had not moved the Congress and the Hindu opinion all over the province of undivided Bengal, then we Bengali Hindus would have been dhimmis under a Muslim administration, and we would have had to either become refugees or convert ourselves to Islam or jump into the Bay of Bengal. We have still not appreciated, the people of Bengal have still not appreciated, the Bengali Hindus have still not appreciated what a great achievement of Dr. Syama Prasad Mookerjee this was. I think I'm running out of time, so the remaining part I am going to compress a little bit, because the subsequent part is better known, because that was a All India role of Dr. Syama Prasad Mookerjee. So that is better known than the earlier role of Dr. Mookerjee. So Dr. Syama Prasad Mookerjee, after partition, after independence, he became a member of the British Nehru's cabinet. He wanted the education portfolio, but Maulana Abul Kalam Azad grabbed it. As a result, Syama Prasad was made the minister in the Union Cabinet for Industries and Supply. He did a very good account of himself. It was he was the motive power behind the building of the DVC, that is Damodar Valley Corporation, the Chittranjan Locomotive Works, both of which were either totally or partly benefited the Bengalis, because West Bengal at that time was receiving a huge load of refugees from East Bengal. The East Bengal government, that is East Pakistan government, engineered a riot, or I should say pogrom, anti-Hindu pogrom in East Pakistan, as a result of which the entire middle class Hindus who had been at the forefront of the um, educational and cultural life of East Bengal. They were forced to leave East Bengal and come over to Bengal, West Bengal. Syama Prasad, together with Dr. B.C. Roy, looked after their rehabilitation, but it was a terrible problem because Nehru did not give adequate importance to their rehabilitation. Srikanto, am I how long, do I have any more time?
The thing is that even after reading both of your Shama Prasad books, etc., I am totally overwhelmed. Extremely good opinion. Sorry, extremely good information. Lot of information. I'm sure the audience let them digest it. I am asking you to just stop for now, and again, you will speak again because I know you have not concluded.
Fair enough, fair enough. Fine,
So
fine, no problem.
yeah, these are the books, viewers, that we have on screen that Dr. Roy has written. Rather,
Okay.
Professor Governor Roy has written on Shama Prasad. He has also done an extremely extensive job on documenting the partition of Bengal and
Incidentally, the book on the left is a Kannada edition of the book.
oh wow, wow. Yes, no, this is the major book. Yeah, that's the Kannada edition. We have the Bengali edition, Hindi edition, and the English edition as well. They're all available on Amazon, and requesting all of you to please wait for Professor Roy to speak again in just a few minutes. We want to introduce, or rather bring in, Chandrachur Ghosh. And those of you who watched Gumnami Baba on film or read any of the books on from Netaji know about Chandrachur. Chandrachur, please join us and rather educate us about the great man Syama Prasad, as well as the situation in Bengal at that time and how it's relevant today as well.
Thank you, Shrikanta. And it was obviously a great experience, always a pleasure to listen to Tathagata Dar talk about Shama Prasad. And that was a very nice summary. I mean, of course, it needs a lot more time to talk fully about the man and to do justice to at least part of what he had done in his lifetime. I am not an expert on Syama Prasad Mookerjee, but I just wanted to highlight a few things when we talk about Syama Prasad in a current context. Because sadly, in the current Bengal politics or Indian politics, I would not give so much importance to national politics at this moment. But what is a matter of shame is that Syama Prasad is not only a non-entity in Bengal politics, political discourse, but he is perhaps uh, painted as the most villainous character in the entire political spectrum dominated by the left and the Congress. And by Congress, I mean both the Congress party and the Trinamool. So I don't want to go into too much of party politics here because that's not my purpose. But unfortunately, we have to look into the causes of why Syama Prasad is missing. I mean, someone who gave his entire life, dedicated his entire life to the upliftment of Bengal in its various cultural and political facets, and worked for India's industrial development. Such a man has been turned into a non-entity. So there has to be a reason behind it. I mean, so much so that a few years ago, when the Calcutta port was renamed Shamaprasad according to Shamaprasad's name, there was a hue and cry that it has been renamed to Shamaprasad port, and by suppressing the name of Netaji Subhash Chandra Bose. Now, what happened is that in the Calcutta port, there was a dock in the name of Netaji. And for all these years, nobody had the idea, nobody had the thought that the port itself could be named after Netaji. There was only a dock. But when the central government renamed the port as, according to Shama Prasad, there was a human cry. There was a shrill protest in all forms of media and political platforms. No, there is always, whenever the name of Shama Prasad comes up, there is always a standard retort. I mean, it's almost as if it has been internalized and memorized and programmed into the Bengali mind of our times that Shama Prasad is to be uh, posed, posited as an opponent or as an anti-figure to Netaji Subhash Chandra Bose. Now, that's very unfortunate because their relationship was nuanced. Of course, they had differences, but beyond the differences, there was much that requires a study and look to be looked into, which is not done. I'll just give some examples. I mean, the biggest example that is given thrown at whenever the name of Sama Prasad comes up is that in the 1940 Calcutta Corporation elections, Netaji, still not Netaji, he was still Subhash Bose. Subhash Bose opposed the Hindu Mahasabha and broke up, and his men broke up Shama Prasad's meeting, the Hindu Mahasabha's meetings, which is true, which is no, which is a fact. And so there is no doubt about that. But nobody, and even those who try to uphold Shama Prasad are not able to defend or give the full picture, and that says a lot about being informed in the political circles in Bengal today. So that is the picture that is given. So let me just pick up the thread from a little before that. And the first thing that I would like to highlight here is that when Subhas was expelled from presidency and he was in the wilderness, he was just uh, outside the education circle, had no idea what his future was going to be, whether he was ever going to be taken into any of the colleges in Calcutta after being rusticated from presidency. It was with the help of Syama Prasad's father, Ashutosh Mukherjee, that he was taken into the Scottish Church College. So Ashutosh Mukherjee played a big role, and I think, if I remember correctly, Sharat Bose went and met him, and Ashutosh intervened so that Subhas could get admission in the Scottish Church. Later on, as I mean, Syama Prasad entered active politics later on in around 1939-40. But before that, also he was a member of the Legislative Council of Bengal. He represented the Calcutta University constituency. And while writing Subhash Bose's biography, I found that in 1932, when Subhash Bose had been thrown into jail and the doctors were suspecting tuberculosis, and very soon he was to be exiled to Europe. It was Syama Prasad who stood up in the Bengal Legislative Council and moved an adjournment motion to discuss the state of Subhas's health. That was in 1932. Again, I mean, when Subhas came back and became the Congress president, it was the post was called Rashtrapati at that time. So when he was the Rashtrapati in 1938, there was a huge student strike in Calcutta St. Xavier's College. The authorities of the St. Xavier's College and the students clashed over certain issues. And the students came to Subhas for advice. But Subhas refused to advise them only on the ground that two of his nephews, Aurobindo Bose and Kalyan Bose, were among the student leaders. He said, it doesn't look good as the Congress president to advise you when my own family members are in the student union. So what did he do? He sent them to Syama Prasad Mookerjee to take his guidance as to how to take the movement forward. So I mean, this was the kind of relationship that they shared. Again, in 1939, after he was re-elected, after Subhas was re-elected as the Rashtrapati, and the history of that year is well known how he was forced to resign and form Forward Bloc. So after he resigned in April as the Congress president, a huge public meeting was organized in Calcutta to felicitate him, to felicitate Subhas. And the convener of that public meeting in 1939 May was Syama Prasad Mookerjee. So this is the background. I mean, a very few pointers. I mean, just the highlights of the relationship between the two men. Now, obviously, it comes down to the clash in 1940. What happened exactly? So in 1940, Subhas had formed Forward Bloc, and he had by that time been expelled from Congress. So he was forbidden to be a member of any elective body, which virtually meant an expulsion from the Congress party, from the Congress organization. And obviously, the Congress in Bengal was Bose Congress because that was one province where the Gandhian High Command had no control, had no influence. The Gandhian leaders like Maulana Abul Kalam Azad, Prafulla Chandra Ghosh, some of them they tried their best, but they couldn't do anything. The entire Congress organization were with the Bose brothers, Subhas and Sarat. Now, it was 1940, it was Calcutta Corporation election time, and obviously the Bengal Congress, as it was called at that time, it was the Bose Congress, and they entered into an alliance with the Hindu Mahasabha. Now, it is said that you will see a news clipping which has gone viral, doing rounds in the internet. Anything goes in the social media because there is no accountability. No one asks for the source. Purportedly, it's a clipping from Anandabazar Patrika where Subhas talks in very virulent terms against the Hindu Mahasabha, exploiting the religious sentiments of the Hindus. And I have not been able to find that clipping. And anybody who has shared, even the top leaders who have shared that clipping, I have asked them for the source, but they have not been able to give me the source. I have checked. I haven't been able to see Ananda Bazar of that date, but I have checked the other newspapers of that date, and there is no report of such a public meeting held or addressed by Subhas on that date. So 99.9%, I'm sure it's a fake news. It has been manufactured like many other historical points. This is also a manufactured piece of history. Now, the fight was that, I mean, if Subhas was so antagonistic to Syama Prasad or the Hindu Mahasabha, why would he approach them for an alliance? That is the first question. I mean, if he had so much displeasure. And when the alliance broke down finally on the question of selection of candidates, Subhas wanted certain candidates. He didn't want certain candidates for Hindu Mahasabha. And Sama Prasad insisted for one or two candidates. And there was this disagreement. And finally, the negotiations broke down and they parted. But then, what Subhas was obviously as a politician, he was a politician too. I mean, he was not there for charity, so he had to win election. And so he obviously he told Sama Prasad that I will not let you hold public meetings and not let your party win any seat. So his associates, his followers went and broke up a few meetings. Some of them were attended by the elderly editor of Modern Review at the time, Ramananda Chatterjee, and obviously it gave an opportunity to the right wing of that time with the Hindu Mahasabha. Ramananda Chatterjee, of course, controlled Modern Review, and it gave the opportunity to the Gandhian print news media in Bengal, which was led by Amrita Bazar Patrika and Jugantar. So Tushar Kanti Ghosh was the editor and of Amrita Bazar Patrika, and Tushar Kanti Ghosh and Ramananda Chatterjee went absolutely ballistic against Subhas Bose and called him fascist and everything. Certain decisions, certain utterances of Subhas at this time were illogical, irrational, and very unlike him, but probably were made due to the heat of the political situation because they are not congruent with his political personality or his thoughts. But anyway, it just got bitter and bitter, and hell broke loose when he actually entered into an alliance with the Muslim League in Kolkata. So, Muslim League by that time had announced the Lahore Declaration had come in, where they had announced their intention for dividing India and all. So, obviously, a question was raised as to what could lead him to take such a step, to go with those who were advocating the division of the country. Subhas was very clear. I mean, his strategy was very clear. That there is I mean, and it was somewhat similar to what had happened about 15 years ago when Deshbandhu Chittaranjan Das had announced the Bengal Pact, where the idea was to uh, elevate the level of the common Muslims in the province, who were more numerous, as Tathagata pointed out, that they were nearly 55% of the population. So, with such a huge population being illiterate, out of jobs, out of the purview of jobs, you cannot progress as a nation, you cannot build a nation, you cannot progress as a province or as a country. So you have to give them certain benefits, certain reservations, certain facilities to uplift at least a certain section of that community. And that would also help to prevent them from going over to the radicals, the fundamentalists, the radicals, call them whatever name you want. But, so it was important to bring them back into the moderate fold or to the nationalist fold, as it was called at the time. There were the Muslim League Muslims and there were the nationalist Muslims. So that was one of the targets. That was one of the objectives of this alliance. That Subhas was trying to get the moderates to his side, trying to prevent the drift towards the towards a more rigid stand on division of the country, on partition of the country. Now, there is a very interesting letter written by the governor of Bengal at this time when he was reporting to the viceroy. So he wrote, this was a confidential letter which was declassified much later. And in that letter, the governor wrote that the Muslim League leaders are very glad, they are gloating that they have got Subhas in their hand and that they will capture the Congress organization through him, that he will serve their purpose. But they have no idea what kind of politician Subhash is, and by the time they realize, they will be under his control. So that says something about how this alliance was seen by Indians and by the British administrators. Anyway, this thing has remained a bone of contention. It can be explained, it can be justified, it can be opposed, it can be criticized, depending on the point of view of who is talking or who is writing. But that, in a nutshell, is the relationship that this shared. And did this incident turn Shama Prasad against Subhas? No, because if you read the diary of Shama Prasad, there is unmixed admiration for Subhas Bose in Shama Prasad's writings. And obviously, when the INA trials were going on, he organized fundraising for the INA soldiers. Now, this was a political strategy adopted practically by all the political parties. Everybody was raising funds for the INA soldiers. All the newspapers, even those who were against Subhash Bose and the idea of the INA, the staunch non-violent Gandhians, they were also raising funds. So all the newspapers like Amrita Bazar Patrika, the Indian Express, Hindu Mahasabha, Congress, Muslim League, they were raising funds. The biggest amount of fund raised, and all these funds raised by the newspapers were finally given to the Congress party because the Congress had set up an iron relief committee. I'm just digressing for a second because this is a very significant incident of our political culture, which is not much known, and hence questions are not raised. Now, a huge amount of money was raised and subsequently given to the All India Congress Committee. So Congress was raising its own funds, and the newspapers which were raising funds that went into lakhs, multiple lakhs, they were all given to the AICC. Now, till this day, there is no account of what happened to that money. The IICC never gave any account of how they spent or how much they spent for the Indian soldiers and how much went into the party kitty. But we don't know. We have no clear idea. Subsequently, I got to know about this issue because when the when Pandit Nehru was trying to give some money to Netaji's widow, Amelia Schenkel in Austria, he casually asked that do we still have money from the INA funds? Sardar Patel wrote back to him, we have enough. But exactly that is the point, that there was no accountability and the Indians don't know what happened to that huge amount of funds raised. Coming back to Shama Prasad. I mean, as I said, that we find if we read his diary, if we find immense respect and admiration for Subhas Bose, that continued.
Sorry.
Sorry,
Uh,
yeah.
yeah, just wrap up in 1 minute, then we'll again bring you in.
Absolutely, absolutely, absolutely. I'll just address one more point, and then we will come back
Sure.
for more discussion.
Sure.
Just one point I want to raise is that it is said another accusation that Syama Prasad was hand in glove with the British administrators, with the British government. He was a stooge. So these are the standard misinformation campaign that have gone on for decades and have played a large role in overshadowing his personality, his role in the nation building. Now, so I will just highlight one point here. When the first interim government was formed, it was Sama Prasad's name was proposed, but the viceroy Wavell shot down the name of Sama Prasad from that list, and his reason was that throughout Sama Prasad has been an out and out uh, critic and opponent of the British government, British Raj in India. So that is recorded, and this letter, these minutes are recorded in the transfer of power volumes. It's sad that people don't get to know these facts these days, and most of the dialogue that happens, discourse that happens, is terribly uninformed. So, Sama Prasad, these two points I wanted to highlight to begin with, two misinformation points. One, that there was Subhas and Sama Prasad were opponents and enemies and they hated each other. And the second was that Sama Prasad was some sort of an agent of the British government. So I will stop here, and later on maybe we can take on more points.
Thank you. Thank you. Immense amount of information. Chandrachur, I'm sure these are contained in your new books. New book, rather. It's not available in the US yet. I ordered it. I think it's coming in January. But anyway,
Oh, okay.
yes, but I know it's available in Kolkata. Uh, there are multiple questions that are coming in. One question that, again, it's important. What was Syama Prasad's role in partitioning Punjab along with Bengal? That is the question. But again, let me come back just a second. Let us introduce ourselves. We are Bangla Abar. Bangla Abar is an international organization registered both in India as well as in United States. And our job, or rather, we are non-political, and our job is to educate Bengalis and those interested about Bengal, about what happened in Bengal, who are the famous people in Bengal. This is the Luminaries of Bengal series. For those of you joining today, Luminaries of Bengal series is, we're talking, we started with Ram Mohan, and we progressed through various personalities who have, of course, they have touched Bengal, but they have also touched India. I mean, Pan India, Greater India, as well as Akhand Bharat as well, in terms of education, in terms of philosophy, in terms of the independence movement. Let me just make an announcement. I'll announce this again at the end. October 14th, that's next Saturday, we have the topic of political revolution in Bengal. We have eminent speakers for that. Professor Gautam Sen, London School of Economics, and Sanjeev Sanyal. He's the economic advisor to the government of India. Again, Sanjeev Sanyal and Gautam Sen on 14th October, 8 p.m. 15th October, that's a Sunday, next Sunday, at 8:30 p.m. we have the topic on the great Sri Aurobindo, a political revolutionary into a spiritual journey. We have multiple speakers. I'll list them so shortly. So both 14th at 8 p.m. and 15th at 8:30 p.m. we have programs. Please come back. We will be sending you links. Now, question for Professor Roy, and then we'll ask the same to Chandrachur as well. What is the role of Bharat Kesari in partitioning Punjab along with Bengal. Both, the idea was that both Bengal and Punjab, along with Sindh, etc., are going to join Pakistan, along with the city of Kolkata, Amritsar, Lahore, all of that. But Syama Prasad, by taking away West Bengal along with Kolkata, uh, that gave the idea to the group who worked with Syama Prasad in dividing Punjab as well. That means India got half of Punjab back, or rather, what we call India now got the eastern part of Punjab, which includes Haryana, which includes Himachal Pradesh, etc. So Tathagata first, and then Chandrachur. Tathagata, you are mute again. Tathagata, we can't hear you. Hello? Uh,
Can you hear me now?
yes. Yes, we can hear you. Go ahead.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, we can hear you. Please go ahead. No, again you're muted. Tathagata, you're muted again.
Sorry?
Yeah, I can hear you now, but 1 second
do
ago
what?
we can listen to you. Yes, go ahead.
So should I begin from the beginning?
No. Yeah, about the question we asked. Yes,
Okay.
please start from the beginning. Yes.
All right. So Dr. Syama Prasad Mookerjee did not have a direct hand in the partition of Punjab because he was never involved in Punjab politics. The Punjab partition was largely the act of the Punjab Congress as well as the Akali Dal, which was led by Master Tara Singh at that time. And with all these things, Dr. Syama Prasad Mookerjee's credit is largely in the partition of Bengal. But as for Punjab, the fact that these two provinces were partitioned together, it really shows us that there was similarity in the action. And I'm quite sure that what the Akalis and the Punjab Congress did, they got a lot of inspiration from what Dr. Mookerjee was doing in Bengal.
Can I add just one point here? Okay. Well, okay. The point I would just had to add to what Tathagata just said is again I'm coming back. I'm bringing back Syama Prasad to the current day politics because that's very important if we want to resurrect him, which is essential. Is that when Syama Prasad ran his campaign for division of Bengal, and he was supported by the entire Congress organization at the ground level, and the intellectuals of Bengal also stood behind him. So he had a huge, massive support at the elite as well as the ground worker level. So the criticism that is thrown by that same Congress party today that Samprasad got Bengal divided and as if it was something wrong done by him. So the current intellectuals very carefully cover up the fact that the entire Congress organization stood behind him and worked to prevent Bengal going to Pakistan, becoming a part of Pakistan. And no less important was the fact that Shama Prasad got the support of the Congress top leadership, Pandit Nehru and Sardar Patel. Both of them were absolutely clear and vociferous and made public statements without any ambiguity that Bengal needed to be partitioned. So, just picking on Shama Prasad as if to blame him for the partition of Bengal and covering up on all the facts, that is again a misinformation that has come down to our generation and going on to the next generation. So every it's a very abusive culture that has developed, which refuses to look into the historical context and the details and the facts, and lives on some myths which have been built over a number of decades. Can we have the next question, Srikanth?
Sorry. I'm coming to the next question. But the entire Bengal and entire Punjab would have actually gone to Pakistan if if Syama Prasad did not inspire the workers of the Hindu Mahasabha and other units to actually partition Bengal and bring it for India. So yes, okay. This is a question. Second question. The This is mainly for Tathagata Roy as well as for Chandrachur. Professor Roy, you are part of the BJP, who are currently ruling India, and basically, you know what you from what you said and what we know, Syama Prasad is basically the founding father, the main person who founded the party. So the question is, why is his death mystery not even solved yet after so many years of Atal Bihari Vajpayee? That's 6 years, and then 9 years of Mr. Modi, so it's 15 total years, maybe more. So what is exactly wrong? Why is the mystery still not solved? Why we just have illusions, but we don't know what happened? So this is for Mr. Professor Roy mainly, and then if Chandrachur wants to answer this as well.
See, to the best of my knowledge, a program is afoot to correct the mistakes in the writing of post independence and even pre independence history, what exactly happened during that time, who had been responsible for partition, all these things. Now, we must understand that the history that has been taught to us over the last 75 years, or the better part of 75 years, was largely the creation of Congress and uh, left historians. And as a result, certain ideas have got into the minds of people which now need to be dispelled. Now, this is not a thing that can be done hurriedly, because if you try to do it hurriedly, they will just throw up their arms and shout to the high heavens that they are rewriting history, they are trying to they are trying to introduce the RSS version of history and all that. So this has got to be done gently but firmly and with adequate support, adequate academic support. A very large section of the academics in India who were appointed during the Congress regime were left oriented or Congress oriented. They would not give any support to this kind of effort. So, as I said, it has to be done carefully and gently, but very firmly.
Chandrachur, do you want to add something to this?
Very quickly, 2 points. One on the point of history and on the point of politics. On the point of history, it's said that Syama Prasad Mookerjee was the founding father of BJP and all. So, which was the Bharatiya Janata Party. Now, the point is that while doing my research, I found that Syama Prasad Mookerjee did not establish the Bharatiya Janata Party. In Bharatiya Janata Sangh was it came into being in 1951 October 21st October, the same date which coincides with the formation of the Azadin government of Netaji. But before that, in April or May in Calcutta, Syama Prasad Mookerjee had announced a formation of a party in Calcutta, which he had named the People's Party. Now, the Bharatiya Janata Sangh was being built ground up by people leaders like Balraj Madhok and Dindayal Upadhyay, and they were being organized in separate provinces. And in October 51, that is when the National Convention happened, and Syama Prasad Mookerjee was elected as the first president of the Bharatiya Janata Party. Now, is Bharatiya Janata Party the ideological parent of BJP? I find it difficult to believe because, believe it or not, I mean, we all political parties in our country have to have a constitution, and the left parties, for instance, mentioned in their constitution the source of their ideology, which is Marx and Lenin, and so on and so forth. The Congress does not name anybody. BJP, believe it or not, is the only party which mentions Mahatma Gandhi as the source of its ideology, and its Gandhian socialism is its creed. Bharatiya Janata Party made no such claim. So when there is an ideological shift has happened, I wonder whether it can be called the successor of Bharatiya Janata Party. I mean, these are just two quick points I wanted to make. Maybe Tathagata can speak on the latter point about Gandhi being in the BJP constitution as a source of ideology.
Yes, I can certainly speak. It was, I personally think, this is my personal view. I personally think that this was one of the grand mistakes of Atal Bihari Vajpayee committed during his presidency between 1980 and 85. And it is during this time that the Panchanishtha of the Bharatiya Janata Party included Gandhian socialism. Today, the creed that is being followed by the Bharatiya Janata Party, never mind what is written in paper, but the creed, what is being written is not socialist. Although the constitution was amended by a subterfuge by Indira Gandhi through the 42nd Amendment to make it a socialist and secular republic. Today, the republic that we have is not a socialist one, and rightly so. What Atal Bihari Vajpayee envisaged by Gandhian socialism was a decentralized economy. We are not having any kind of decentralized economy. The government has no program to decentralize the economy. Political power certainly can be decentralized, but not the economy. So while the thing can remain on paper, it is my impression that the BJP is not following Gandhian socialism, and quite rightly so.
Okay, let us actually go back to Syama Prasad. So again, we have so many questions from our viewers. Why is the death mystery not solved? But this is for Dr. Roy, who is the official biographer. I mean, he is the biographer for Mr. Syama Prasad. What happened? What happened, in your opinion, the death? How did it happen? I mean, let us understand again his role in one nation, ek desh, one flag, ek nishan, one constitution, ek bidhan, was and is being finally implemented after so long by the Modi government. I mean, is it being implemented? Is it? I mean, does the Modi government feel that was his vision? And also, please add to the death mystery. I mean, what exactly happened? Do we know? Tathagata.
No, I couldn't quite get the question. What is the question?
Okay, it's a two-part question. We want to know what exactly happened, in your opinion, that caused his death. Question number one. Question number two. His role in one nation, one flag, one constitution.
I'm sorry, I missed that. What was question number one? What exactly happened when?
Happened that caused his death. How did Syama Prasad die? What does your opinion say?
Caused his death. Right. Yeah. And question number two?
Question number two, sir, is what is his role? I mean, his role in one nation, one flag, one constitution. which is finally implemented by Modi government. I mean, is it really his vision, and do they recognize it as his vision?
I'll
You know
answer
the
the second question first. Of course, it is his vision. We can see for ourselves that the peculiar arrangement of Jammu and Kashmir being a part of India and yet not being a part of India is being undone, and quite rightly so, by the government led by Narendra Modi. As for the first one, what caused his death? You see, it is once again a very long story, as I have been able to piece together the evidence on record. What had happened is that uh, Nehru and Sheikh Abdullah somehow snared Syama Prasad Mookerjee to enter Jammu and Kashmir. Syama Prasad Mookerjee said that at that time there was a rule that no Indian citizen could enter Jammu and Kashmir without having a permit. And that permit was to be issued by the central government, the government of India. Now, Dr. Syama Prasad Mookerjee said that I shall not take a permit because I am a citizen of India and Kashmir is a part of India. So he was about to enter. When he was about to enter the state of Jammu and Kashmir from Punjab, from Pathankot, he was to have been arrested at the very entry in the Punjab part. But he was snared because the deputy commissioner of Gurdaspur district at that time, upon instructions from New Delhi, he told Dr. Syama Prasad Mookerjee that you go ahead, you enter Jammu and Kashmir. Your permit will follow or whatever. But he was snared into entering, and then he was arrested in Jammu and Kashmir. The trick in this thing was that Jammu and Kashmir at that time was outside the jurisdiction of the Indian Supreme Court. Had he been arrested before entering the state, as he should have been, because he was entering without a permit, he should have been arrested because the Jammu and Kashmir government had nothing to do with the permit at that time. Permit was to be issued by the government of India. And the government of India knew very well that he was entering without a permit. So he should have been arrested, but he was not arrested. He was allowed to enter Jammu and Kashmir and then only arrested. And then after that, the Supreme Court had no jurisdiction. Otherwise, he could have been made free by a writ of habeas corpus in a matter of less than a week. And then after that, what Sheikh Abdullah did to him was scandalous, disgusting. He put him in a abandoned bungalow somewhere outside Srinagar, which did not even have a telephone. He was not given opportunity to do exercise. He had DVT, deep vein thrombosis in his legs, and he had been advised regular exercise by the doctor, but he was not given the opportunity to do these exercises. Then, when he suffered a heart attack, he was transported in an ordinary taxi, not even an ambulance, to the gynecological ward of a hospital in Srinagar. And there also he was not told to lie down. The barrister Trivedi, who was looking after his legal affairs, he went to see Dr. Mookerjee after the day he had this heart attack, and he saw him sitting up on a bed and signing some papers. And then the next day he died. Any layman would know today that a patient of heart attack is not to be put in any condition, any such thing, and he's not even allowed to be allowed to go to the washroom. He's supposed to do all these things in bed. But Syama Prasad Mookerjee was in this manner, he was sort of engineering a murder. And this was said also by a nurse called Rajdulari Tikku, who was looking after Syama Prasad Mookerjee, and he told this thing to Syama Prasad Mookerjee's daughter, Shobita Banerjee. I interviewed Shobita Banerjee and she told me this. So this is how he died. I can't say that he was directly murdered, but conditions were created whereby he would have died anyway.
Chandrachur?
I don't have anything to add to this. I mean,
Okay. We have,
Tathagata is the last word.
okay. We have a question that can Professor Roy speak about the Nehru Liaquat Treaty, the
Yes,
implication of it? The Nehru Liaquat Pact, I believe that's the
yes,
name, and
yes.
how Syama Prasad reacted to it.
Syama Prasad reacted to it by resigning from the Union cabinet.
No, no.
He
Can
just
you
threw
please,
it away.
in one line, just say what the Nehru Liaquat Treaty was?
Yes, Nehru Liaquat Pact. The Nehru Liaquat Pact is an act of, I am sorry to use strong words, but it was an act of ultimate political stupidity. It could not have been unknown to Nehru that the pogrom, anti Hindu pogrom, which was going on in 1950, had been engineered by the East Pakistan government. Certain things had happened which unmistakably point to that. There is a bridge which was then called the Anderson Bridge across the river Meghna. It's very close to the place from where my ancestors came. On 12th of February 1950, all trains crossing that bridge were stopped in midspan. All Hindus had their throats cut and thrown into the river to be eaten by crocodiles. In any case, they would have died. And this happened systematically. This could not have happened without the complicity of the government. Now, these things could not have been unknown to Nehru. After all, he had his intelligence also. Furthermore, Nehru wanted to do some joint inspection of the East Pakistani landscape together with Liaquat Ali. Liaquat Ali is flatly refused. But then, what happened is when retaliatory riots started in West Bengal, then Nehru suddenly woke up. And Liaquat Ali said that no, we must discuss this thing face to face. And Nehru said, yes, of course. He wrote letters to Liaquat Ali saying, my dear Nawabzada, calling him my dear Nawabzada. And ultimately, they met in Delhi on the 8th of April 1950 and signed a pact. And Syama Prasad rubbished that pact. It is his resignation letter, which he read out in the parliament, is an important document. It's a very revealing document. In that, it is clearly written what an act of abysmal political stupidity and Nehru created by doing this. It is in protest against this that he had resigned.
So we are seeing
Can I add just one quick point here? I mean, I mean, just a point of fact, which is not widely known, is that one point of time, and this fact was revealed by the then Deputy Chief of the Intelligence Bureau, who later on came to be the longest serving head of the Intelligence Bureau, B.N. Malik. Sounds Bengali, but is actually a Bihari. He was from the Bihar Kada. B.N. Malik divulged in his one of his memoirs that at this point of time, Sardar Patel was strongly in favor of the Indian Army moving into East Pakistan, and in that he had complete support from Syama Prasad Mookerjee. So both of them were in favor of the army intervening, and secondly, when Syama Prasad warned, cautioned, protested about the Nehru Liaquat Pact in Parliament while reading out his resignation speech, uh, all the forecasts that he made came true, and that has been acknowledged by Malik. He's saying that all the warnings that he gave came out to be true, but Nehru was in a state of mind at that time where the chief of intelligence bureau, whenever he went to Nehru and reported that the pact is not working and the Bengali Hindus are being killed. Nehru used to get furious. He used to say that you are not getting the correct facts. You are representing the communal organizations and giving me twisted facts. This is record on record. And the other point that I wanted to make is the Indian leaders were very, very ostrich-like in their approach to exchange of population. So they somehow thought that the problem will go away by Hindus and Muslims when the country has been divided, partitioned on the basis of religion, and there was so much rioting, bloodshed. Somehow they came, trained themselves to believe that once partition was done, they would coexist peacefully. Syama Prasad was one of the few leaders who argued at that time very strongly that the West Bengal government should take the responsibility of exchanging the population in a methodical way so that the Hindu population is in East Pakistan don't suffer.
Okay.
Just to add one point, that this exchange of population was proposed by Syama Prasad in case of Bengal and refused by Nehru. But in
Yeah,
Punjab, the actual exchange had happened by a normal
they had to do
process.
it.
All the Hindus and Sikhs came over from Pakistan, all the Muslims in East Punjab went over to Pakistan.
Okay. Now, there's another question. By the way, someone is asking Chandrachur, your opinion on Dr. Mukherjee's death. Do you have any
I have
opinion?
no opinion. I think Tathagata has given the full facts.
Okay.
My only comment on that would be a political lament that those who claim to be the flag bearers of Shama Prasad's ideology, they talk about his death mystery only when they're in the opposition. Whenever they sit in the government, they completely forget it.
Yep. That maybe. Another thing that we may want to add, someone has written is the Nehru Liaquat Ali Treaty, for which Syama Prasad and Niyogi, another minister, he also resigned. That's something that this person wanted to mention. There is a very classic
Srikanto,
question.
just one point.
Go ahead.
It's getting very late now. So you'll have to limit the questions.
I understand. I understand. So, but this is a classic question, and this question is very relevant, particularly as it applies to West Bengal. Uh, you know, Syama Prasad, he had a dreamland of West Bengal. He created West Bengal with the support of the various functionaries. So, what do we see as the future of West Bengal? This is probably one of the last questions, but I may choose one or two more questions. But this is the important question. What do we see as what's going to happen to West Bengal? What is happening to West Bengal?
I am extremely sorry to answer this, but I don't see any ray of hope. West Bengal right now is in a terrible state in every possible way. During the 34 years of their rule, the leftists, that is particularly the CPIM, have managed to drive out all industries out of West Bengal and create a total atmosphere of uh, politicization, over politicization of the civil services. So much so that no industrialist will touch this state with a 10-foot pole. And Mamata Banerjee, who we thought would relieve this state of this terrible administration, now she is following the CPIM line by line, action by action, every little bit, what the CPM did in West Bengal, the politicization of the police and the administration, the use of the police and the administration for the benefit of the ruling party, the total vanishing of the rule of law. She is doing every bit of it. And why I say that I do not see any ray of hope, it's total darkness ahead, is because The party that I used to belong to is not throwing up much hope. The way they are functioning, I am not happy.
Okay, so again, Chandrachur, do you have any opinion on this?
Very short, and I think this should be the last question actually. See, I mean, this is a question that demands a separate session altogether. It cannot be answered in
Right, right.
Sure.
5 minutes. And to hit the core of my answer is, if we consider the Bengal Renaissance as the zenith of Bengal's development and cultural sensitivity and expression, we are at the exact opposite pole right now. Socially, politically, culturally, take it whatever way you want.
Okay. So again, I want to talk to all the viewers about our organization Bangla Abad. Bangla Abad wants to arrest the trend that both Professor Roy and Chandrachur spoke about. We're asking all of you to actively join Bangla Abad, and this is an international organization. We want to bring Bengal. Bangla Abar means Bengal again. Those of you who are familiar with the famous song Bharat Abar Jagat Sabhay Shreshto Ason Lobe. So this is about, again, Bharat Abar. Of course, Bharat Abar will do it. India again will do it when Bengal becomes number one. All this development you are seeing with G20 and all these other factors, India is slowly progressing to number one. It will become number one. But for that to fully happen, Bengal has to be number one. Whatever we have of partition, Bengal, West Bengal, and of course Tripura and the Bengali diaspora in India, in Bangalore, Hyderabad, and globally, we have to do the Bangla Abar thing, as we can say in Western language, to make the India thing, to bring Bharat to number one. We have to bring Bangla up again. Bangla has to rise. So this is our closing comment. However, there are a lot of relevant questions. We have, we will do it next time. But this is various questions are there. It never ceases. But we will do another session on, maybe multiple sessions on Syama Prasad in Bangla in the future. I also want to thank Bangla Bar and our wonderful host Devashish Babu, and thank you to all of you for attending, as well as our eminent speakers, Professor and Governor Tathagata Roy, and our very own Chandrachur Ghose. Namaskar. Shubhratri in India. Shubhratri. Namaskar.
Thank you. Good night. Jai Hind.
Jai Hind.